2021 turned out to be a year to live with COVID-19. This year, we spoke to some of the biggest names in the music industry and we asked them about how they're adapting to the pandemic. Stay tuned in the next half hour as we showcase some of the best portions of our interview with Chris Martin and Johnny Buckland from Coldplay, Broadway icon Lin Manuel Miranda, and multi-Grammy winner Ed Sheeran. Coldplay has been giving us timeless hits for over 20 years now. I spoke to frontman Chris Martin and lead guitarist Johnny Buckland about their Filipino fans and how they are coping and making music during the pandemic.
We're very lucky because we've been able to work together a lot over the last year or so. We've managed to get permission to be together in certain places in like COVID bubbles. And be in the studio, so we have been less affected professionally than we thought. And we weren't supposed to be on tour, so we were lucky about that. We were always supposed to be recording. It's taken a little bit of, toing and froing and a lot of phone calls to find places where we're allowed to be. But we've managed. Well, we haven't. Someone else has managed to do that for us.
Okay. Well, I mean, how has it sort of affected the way you've approached music? I mean, I've heard you say in a couple of other interviews that you're both, more than anything, you've both realized how grateful you really are for the opportunity to be doing what you're doing during this time.
I mean, absolutely. When you can't see your friends and you can't see all of your families, and you realize what we came to realize kind of what music had given us in our lives. So we wanted to, just keep going with it really as much as we could. And we felt incredibly grateful to have that because it gave us something to keep working towards,
I think that it's very apparent to us that we are extremely lucky to have a job like this and to be in a country where we can do that job, where we have the freedom of choice to do that, to say what we want to say, and most times go where we want to go. That's a real privilege. So when we were on lockdown or in all the quarantines we've had to do and all that, I think it makes you empathize with people that are always in a kind of lockdown or always in a kind of quarantine. So it's definitely been good not to feel like a rock star, but more like, okay, I'm just a human on the planet. Luckily, we get to do this job, but we're no more or less special than any other human.
There's no denying, though. I mean, what is it? Seven Grammys, so many Brit Awards. You've had so much success, does it change when you get to the top of the mountain and realize? It's really all about the music. It's really all about playing to the audience.
I think that's what we're trying to say, is that we only exist because of other people, and we only get to do what we do because of connection with other people.
Right.
Awards and all that, that's all fun, and that's like sugar on cereal or something. But really what we're here for is to communicate with other humans in lots of other countries, and to spread our philosophy of loving everybody equally and, being good to each other. And you're right, when your audience is taken away, it makes you think, okay, well, who am I without that?
Right.
And the answer is I'm the same as my audience. We're the same.
You guys have been around for a very long time, and I mean that in the best possible way. A career that spans as long as you have, and being on top for so long, you've got fans that were along for the ride when you guys started out. We're talking 25 years ago, and yet the journey continues with a new generation of fans, and somehow you've also continued to appeal to your older fans, your more mature fans, and to a younger generation of fans. What's the secret there? What is the Coldplay special sauce?
Well, we have a good answer for that. What are you going to say?
I think we just like to try new things, I think.
We like to try new things, and also we've never been fashionable. So, but this is true. You know,
I'm writing this down. I'm taking some
no,
tips.
but this is really true.
Great tip.
I
Do
mean
not
this very
be fashionable.
seriously. What I mean by that is, even when we started, every year since we started, someone has been much more fashionable than us, even though that has changed over the years.
I know a lot of people who would argue, but
No,
I see where you're going with that.
I promise. So we've never been fashionable, and we've never been cool, and we've never been worried about being fashionable or cool, which means that we've just stayed uncool for the whole time.
Your songs, I think, are very relatable to everybody who listens because they're very personal. You know, lyrics wise.
Yes.
What kind of songs can your fans expect in the coming months? Obviously, Higher Power is you know, it's got a great energy. It's buoyant.
Yeah.
It's joyous. But you've always had that very introspective sort of melancholy as well. And we want that. Is there going to be that in the music of Coldplay in the coming months?
Well, thanks for what you said, Paolo. Yes, I think that as time goes on, we become more and more open in being vulnerable, particularly as you care less and less about what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? So that allows you to just say whatever you really want to say or however you really feel. And we've always been trying to do that, but I think that gets deeper each time. So yes, none of the lyrics are very cryptic or anything like that. It's all very, very much about life as a human in 2021.
What are we looking forward to in the coming months, in the coming year?
Well, we'd love to go on tour.
We would love to go on tour, and if we can't go on tour, we will perhaps do one of those TV reality ice dancing competitions. You will.
I will.
On our behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a secret talent of mine.
Secret talent. Yeah. So touring is our number one goal, and if not, then
Ice dance.
ice dance.
Okay, well, ice dancing aside, Manila. I think it was 2017. A number of
Yes,
years
and it
ago.
was. If you'll excuse my language, it was fucking awesome.
You guys left such an impression. People still talk about it now, and the fans were just—it was like a dream come true for everybody who was able to attend.
It was our first ever concert in the Philippines, so we didn't really know what to expect at all, and we couldn't believe the reaction. I think.
Yeah. It was
Fair to say,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Yeah. And we would like to do it again, please.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Please may we do that again.
Yes, please. Is there any particular quality? I mean, when you say it was, it left that mark. What was it? Was there something different about the Filipino audience?
Well, how do you say this delicately? Because every audience is special. Some audiences have different characteristics, and what I recall is that there's just a level of enthusiasm and engagement and interaction that we felt there in terms of just, that human connection. And it was also one of the only concerts that I've ever arrived on bicycle. So I came in on bicycle, so I feel like I met most of the audience on the way in.
Right.
Which was great. And it was just
fantastic.
It was just lovely, It was a lovely feeling, and we'd be honored to come back.
Up next, Lin Manuel Miranda talks about his feature directorial debut in a movie musical based on Jonathan Larson's life. Catch our conversation with him and later with Ed Sheeran. We'll be right back. If you love musicals, you know Lin Manuel Miranda. He cemented his name on Broadway after creating and starring in The Heights and Hamilton. But the multi-awarded actor, singer, and playwright wanted more. He took on the role of directing Tick, Tick, Boom, an autobiographical musical made by Jonathan Larson, whom Miranda considers a personal hero. He spoke to Christine about how he became a fan of the playwright who was gone too soon.
I saw Rent when I was 17, and it changed my conception of what musicals were allowed to be, and gave me the audacity to think that I could write one day. And so Jonathan Larson was a real hero of mine, just an artistic hero of mine, and Tick Tick was his self-portrait, his portrait of himself as a young man still finding his voice at a time when New York was suffering under the AIDS crisis, and he wanted to make a mark, and he didn't know if he would have time to do that or if the world would recognize it. That's certainly something any artist can relate to. Will what I am making resonate with anyone besides me and my friends? And so I was so thrilled when Julie O, who's my producer, approached me with the film rights and the blessing of the Larson family, because I was just like, I feel like I've lived a version of Jonathan's story, and I know how to bring this to the screen.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that. You said you lived it. I mean, you starred, in 2014, you were part of Tick, Tick, Boom on stage. And then now you are directing it. How different, how similar, how much of yourself do you see in Jonathan?
Well, even taking away that 2-week performance of Tick, Tick, Boom in 2014, I was a struggling songwriter in my 20s, living in New York, being the only constant in a revolving door roommate situation in my apartment in Upper Manhattan. I've seen talented artists I went to school with grow up and get real jobs. I've had relationships that suffered because I was focusing too much on my work. There was just so much of Jonathan's experience that resonated with me on a really spiritual level, and I thought making this movie would be an amazing way to try to repay the debt I feel I owe him, because his work was the work that showed me mine might be possible.
But how different? Is it similar or different in terms of the play and the film, and how difficult was it? Well, you seem to be able to move in both worlds quite fluidly.
The interesting thing about Tick, Tick, Boom as a musical is that there is no definitive version. There was a rock monologue that Jonathan himself performed in 1990 with his friend Roger and a band, and he performed many versions of that. It was called Boho Days, it was called Tick, Tick, Boom, it was called 3090, and then there was this off-Broadway production that was produced posthumously in 2001, and that's the version I saw at the Jane Street Theater. And so when Stephen Levinson, my screenwriter, and I approached the material, we said, we're kind of going to try to take the best of all of this. Let's make Jonathan Larson's dream movie of this material.
Andrew Garfield was also amazing. We were like, I didn't know he could do that. Did he know he could actually do that as well?
I knew he could do it. Listen, I knew that if I was going to direct this movie, I needed a theater beast to play Jonathan Larson. And when I saw him in a production of Angels in America in London. That's a 6-hour, 2-part play. And Andrew was so open and so vulnerable and so shattering in that role that I just left feeling like that guy can do anything. And so he didn't know if he could sing. I didn't know if he could sing. But I knew what I'd seen on that stage, and what I saw was someone who was absolutely fearless on a stage, and that's what I needed, and he succeeded beyond my wildest expectations.
Well, okay, so one of the themes from the movie is fear or love. Where are you? You are motivated by which one?
Well, both of those are riding in the car all the time, right? You always want to lead from a place of love. You always want to make decisions from a place of love. But fear is along for the ride, whether you like it or not. That is the flip side of it. And my friend Liz Gilbert has a really wonderful thing about fear, which is you're allowed to let it ride in the car, but it can't drive and it can't control the radio station. And you have to just sort of have a relationship with it and be like, I know why you're here, I understand, but you don't get to run the show and you don't get to stop me from making decisions. You get to come and you get to be a witness. I understand that it is healthy that fear is here, but this project was really guided out of a love of Jonathan Larson, starting with his own work and his own belief in his ability to make a mark on the world, and then for us augmented by his friends and his family who were so generous with their time and reminiscences about Jonathan so that we could get him right on that screen.
Well, okay, so we know about Jonathan, and what we need to know more about is you as well. Who are you? I mean, I've been looking up, it's like actor, singer, songwriter, rapper, producer, lyricist. I can't even say it all in one breath. What would best describe Lin Manuel?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's really not for me to answer. Those are all a bunch of titles, though. Honestly, at the end of the day, I just like making stuff. And I really just try to stay connected to the impulse I felt when I first got cast in a school play and was just like, oh, we get to make stuff at school? That joy of collaboration, that joy of making something bigger than yourself, working with people who are smarter than you and talented, and making something you could never make alone, that's always the feeling I'm chasing, whether I'm a director on this one or I'm the writer on this one. I just want to make as much cool stuff as I can in the time I have.
Well, you have made a lot of cool stuff. You have won awards for all the cool stuff you have made. What else? What other cool stuff do you want to do? I mean, you seem to have been able to do it all and keep doing it all.
Well, I feel really lucky to be able to do that because there's also a part of my mind and a part of my heart always that says to myself that I'm always sort of saying to myself, and Jonathan Larson should be 61 years old and alive and writing musicals, and I mourn that. I mourn that I don't get to break bread with that hero who got me started writing musicals. But falling short of that, to be able to tell his story using his music is the best way I understand how to repay the debt I feel I owe him.
Ed Sheeran releases his first solo album in 4 years, and he talks about it after the break. Stay tuned. Multi-Grammy winner Ed Sheeran released a new album back in October, and he spoke to us on New Day about his new album and what's next for him.
I think it's just an album about me being, I guess, married, in love, father. I lost a close friend while making it. I turned 30. I think it's just what Divide was a snapshot of who I was at 24 and 25, and I think this is a snapshot of who I am at 30.
Okay, so who are you at 30? I mean, personal wise. I mean, we know that you're married and of course have kids, but what does it mean for you as Ed Sheeran?
I think
more low key. I mean, are you?
Yeah, I think my life is based around my family and friends way more than it's based around my work and job. Which I think things change, and I'm not going on like long partying nights out anymore. It's a bit more relaxed with my daughter at home, and yeah, it's good.
How long did it take you to come out with Equals? I mean, was it always there lurking in the background, but it took some time to come out? I mean, or once you started writing, it was like, okay, I'm so psyched, this is making sense to me.
No, I think I started it in 2017. So that I mean, it's been a long process since then, but I think as soon as the pandemic hit, and then my daughter was born, and then my friend died, and then I turned 30, in that period was the most inspiring time. I had so many different songs come out in that time. Okay,
and a little bit about still on Equals, because it does sound a bit different. I mean, you said it is where you are now. In terms of your sound, it's more, let's say, more genre fluid, you might say?
Yeah, I'd say I've not been worried about trying out new things. I mean, on my first album, I was very much focused on just doing singer-songwriter stuff and being very, very true to the genre. Sorry, there's just a truck outside. Being very, very true to the genre. But yeah, this one it's more what's exciting about trying out something like Bad Habits, doing like a dance song for the first time, or a song like Joker and the Queen is just a pure piano ballad, and I've never really done that before. But yeah.
Speaking of never having done certain things before, you seem to be a guy. I mean, that's the first time I've heard you say it, but you seem to have done it all. I mean, folk, pop, hip hop, rap. I mean, as I say, you collaborated with various artists. Is there a particular genre you wouldn't do? Or is there a genre that you say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't done that? maybe I want to give it a shot?
Oh, yeah, I guess I grew up listening to metal. And I feel like that's not a genre that people see me fit in. But I'm open to anything. I love music. I'm not specific to either one. But yeah, I just love music.
Okay, so we can look forward to possible collab heavy metal country. I mean, country wouldn't be.
I've worked with country artists before. No, I've been speaking to. There's a guy, Danny Filth, who's the lead singer of Cradle of Filth. He lives in a town where I come from. So I've been speaking to him about doing a collaboration with Cradle of Filth. I think it would be like a charity thing if we do it. But yeah, thanks.
Okay, so with that, so those are the things that we could possibly look forward. What else can we look forward from you? Okay, everybody's talking about the Subtraction album. Before Equals is even out yet. It's like, what happened to Subtraction?
To be honest, the time that I was going to put it out made sense because it was bleak winter, it was cold, it was dark, England was locked down. Blah, blah, blah. And the plans started being made, and then England started to open up. The summer started happening. The football was on TV, and I don't know, Bad Habits just made more sense then.
Okay. Okay, tours. I know that you're preparing for your tour. You had a tour here in the Philippines, and we absolutely loved you. 2015, 2018. When can we have you back? And possibly, what's the fondest memory that you can think of? I mean, of your stay here in the Philippines?
I've never felt love like that before. Like it was
Sounds
real.
like a song.
Well, I think the Philippines are, as a fan base, the most passionate fan base of anywhere in the world. I got off the plane and there was 2,000 kids there. I went to my hotel, there was 2,000 kids there. I went out to dinner, there was 2,000 kids there, and then I played the gig in 2015. And it's just electric, and there's people climbing up on the walls, and they sing every single song. They're jumping up and down for everything. I mean, and it's not just for me. I had a conversation with Shawn Mendes about this. He feels the same way about it. And I remember when One Direction went there, it's the same thing. It's real passion for music. It's great.
So we hope to have you back here. I mean, we keep listening to your songs like on our karaoke, and we hope to see you once again here. Another question I would like to ask is that I would like to find out how you stay or how you manage to whip out hits after hits, not only for yourself, but for different artists, genres, varying in various degrees. What is it about Ed Sheeran and your writing process that you just seem to be able to snap it out left and right? It's like a giving tree. It's like you just keep giving.
Well, I think it goes back to what we were saying about earlier about genres and trying different things out. Like, I just like making music, and sometimes the music that I make doesn't necessarily fit the project that I'm working on, and it gives you a wide range of people to collaborate with. I'll have an idea for a song and I'll be like, this wouldn't fit on my album, but let's finish it with this guy for this album. But yeah, it's good.
Those are just some of the best artist interviews on New Day. Catch us on weekdays at 6 a.m. for all the news you need and more. I'm Paolo Abrera. Have a good day.